As an employer, you can't wait until you have everything figured out in order to make inclusive employment work. Um, my friend Rita has shared an interesting experience, and I think this resonates with the experiences of most employers who have had challenges trying to hire persons with disabilities. Rita says, look, we had this good candidate. The candidate qualified to do the job we wanted them to do, but then on reflection, we thought as an employer, we didn't have the minimum requirements in place in terms of processes and systems and structures to enable them to deliver. So unfortunately, we had to let them go and opt for another candidate. Wow, that's really painful, because as an employer, you'll never be ready for every kind of disability out there. So the most foundational thing you need is the will to make inclusive employment possible. The most foundational thing you need in place is the culture of figuring things out along the way, because inclusive employment is a journey, not a destination. I'll give you my own example. When I joined my current employer in Uganda in 2019, I was hard of hearing. So all my colleagues had to do was speak really loud, and I would know what they're saying. Along the way, my hearing dropped to severe hearing loss, so I couldn't hear things anymore. If my employer was to follow the reasoning of, we are not in position to accommodate your disability, I would have run out of work. But my employer said, look, we don't know what we are going to do, but we are going to figure it out together. And we embarked on that journey from hiring a transcription service provider in the Netherlands. We realized that is expensive. We resort to a colleague sitting next to me during meetings and taking notes for me to quickly read. Fortunately, around that time, we discovered a transcription app. Around the same time, COVID was making everything virtual, and we realized a lot of these virtual spaces have live transcription. So if my employer and my colleagues didn't have the will to make it work, if they didn't have the mindset of, Mohammed, let's figure this out together as we move along, I wouldn't have a job. Same thing when I moved over to Nairobi. My employer didn't have everything figured out. They still don't. Neither do I. But we try to figure things along the way. And while we do, I'm able to deliver on my tasks. I'm able to progress, and I'm able to push my career to the next level. I'll also give you the example of Stanbic Bank. Towards the tail end of my stay in Uganda, someone from the HR department at Stanbic Bank reached out to me and said, look, we are planning to hire a number of qualified colleagues with disabilities, but we don't know how to make it work. Please share your experience. And we brainstormed through how they would make it happen, and the next thing I knew, all these people were hired. And up to this day, Stanbic still reaches out from time to time and says, look, Mohammed, we tried the transcription app, but it is tricky for big meetings. What do you use for big meetings? And we keep brainstorming back and forth, and while we do, all these people have a job, all these people are delivering on their tasks, all these people are progressing. So for me, I think that employers need to drop the excuse of we are not ready, because you'll never be ready. You've got to adopt the mindset of we can do it. You've got to reach out to those who have gone through it. You've got to reach out to those who know how to make it work. There's a number of organizations. One I was lucky to work with back in Uganda called Light for the World. They try to help employers to make employment inclusive for persons with disabilities. So my friends, don't try to figure everything out before you can hire a qualified person with a disability. Just put in place a mechanism for figuring things out along the way, a culture of trying to make it work, because this is a learning experience for everyone involved. This is a learning experience, a continuous experience that involves everyone, the employer, the managers, colleagues, and the person living with a disability. Because if you wait for when you'll be ready to hire persons with disabilities, I don't think such a day will ever come.